Hi, Deepika with you once again, and in continuation of our last video together, let's dig in and look at the areas of fixation in our lives where the ego gets fixated and where we get stuck sometimes a whole lifetime, sometimes, and at other times even for longer periods over many lifetimes, because the lesson is a very hard one and we have to learn it over many lifetimes. Now, in the infant stage, that's the first stage of the various stages that I talked about, which lasts until about 6 months, we as little ones are really helpless and totally dependent on the goodwill of our caregivers. And if our basic needs are met, we are happy. We aren't thinking of becoming a scientist just yet, mind you, and neither can we be thinking of consciously returning back anything back to the world. We are simply here to survive the newly experienced harshness of a world we stumbled into from the womb, and we're doing just that. At this stage, who cares about anyone else? Who cares about giving to others? And when our emotions are still raw, not refined by life experience, we operate in a just me kind of a world. Today, as an adult, if you are infantilized, then your brain continues to operate with a pleasure over pain principle, which means that moving towards pleasure, moving away from pain, as simple as that. And the constant taking from others is very fear-based. So you will be quick to tell others what you need for your sustenance, but practically ill-equipped to sense others' needs. And an adult's fixation at this stage could very well arise due to childhood rejection or abandonment, and the rest of one's life is under constant threat of some kind of a loss. Now, the next stage, which is between 6 months to 4 years, is when the infants become toddlers. And it is actually a very inspiring stage of life because all the inspiration mostly comes from people around them, from the caregivers and from other members of the family and from, just maybe friends and neighbors of their parents. It doesn't come from within. And the mirror neurons in toddlers are busy imitating parental speech and behavior, and yet they are pushing the envelope ever so slightly, but yet needing constant validation and approval from their parents. This is the stage wherein beliefs and values are blindly borrowed from elders without going through any filters whatsoever. If love and approval are withheld at this stage from a toddler, the ensuing adult can get fixated on trying to fill that lack and becomes exceedingly needy. Or this adult might give up everything that they have, or give to people outside them to the point of exhaustion just to keep up with their social circle and the demands of their family. Imitation of others is king here. So much reflection may not be used here to decipher whom to give or what to give or when is it needed to be given. If religion or authority or ancient customs dictate altruism, then these adults will do whatever it takes to be altruistic, and so that they are not evicted from the safety of their communities. There is no pressure to conform from anyone. Merely there is a willingness within this adult to give. And you may be fearful of new experiences though, and you may hold yourself back from making new friendships. But with whatever you have, you're willing to give to the people you love and care about. When we move into the next stage, which is called the child stage, anywhere between the age of 5 to 13 years, we are actually focusing most of our energy in getting ahead in life at all costs, because children now have understood what life is all about to some extent, and they know it is important to learn quickly in order to be fit, to be able to survive and to be fit. You have to really move ahead. So like children of this age, adults view their newfound independence and ability to have different beliefs from their parents over here. If they get fixated in the child stage, then they maybe continue to hold on to beliefs that they have got from their caregivers, and they find it very difficult to let these beliefs go. So whatever they learned as children stays with them completely. They're totally unwilling to let that go because that is probably what helps them to feel secure. But what they focus on is winning, just like little children. Winning is everything, and they give out a sense of power and ambition to be whatever they wish to be, to achieve the best. So, in a way, that sense that I can do anything in the world and I can be successful in whatever I do happens with adults, such adults. Now, when thinking is polarized, then it boils down to only two ways to live, right? Either to win or to lose. Logic is valued over emotions, so it's better to be ahead of competition in terms of clarity of thought, in terms of clarity of ideas and communication, and to not miss the boat. And naturally, for all of this to happen, self-motivation becomes the key here. There's an urge to do well in all spheres of life, whether excelling in the right job, whether being seen with the jet set, traveling to exotic destinations, selecting the right school for the kids. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. Creating wealth can become the powerful agenda for these adults, underlying all kinds of other decisions with respect to other aspects of their life. Misuse of nature and exploiting it for personal use can also happen here. In fact, it can make people predatory, unable to distinguish between their acts of violence towards others. Now, the next stage, all right, the adolescent stage between ages 13 and 19, idealism was never more revered than in this stage. Here we discover meaning. We discover things about life. We start thinking about deeper things. We start thinking about our connection with everything else. The emotional life is, of course, hormone directed. So it goes up, it goes down. It's never stable, always questioning. And adolescents are always flipping belief systems according to trending philosophies. So it's here that we read books that really, really influence us, and probably sometimes the philosophy of that book remains with us for life. It's believed that this stage can sometimes linger for parents way beyond 19, 18 and go on till 35. So you can continue to be an adolescent in the way you think and act until the age of 35. And if it weren't for their regressive emotional outbursts, teenagers are pretty rational beings. When you sit down and talk with them, they really can come up with outstanding self-understanding and self-awareness. It's a very important stage for developing a very strong identity and ego that supports their development into adulthood. So relationship wounding at this stage can leave very heavy scars in their relational abilities. It's not easy to be intimate and open as an adult when you carry leftover trust issues from this stage. But if you sail through here, as an adult, you are now a very caring person. You're concerned for humanity. You want to make a difference in the life of others. But the emotional life can be very overwhelming, full of misunderstanding and intense drama, leading to a sense of aloneness. Yet, the overriding concern is to make reforms and bring in progress. Yes, teenagers want to bring in progress. They have amazing ideas. And they're ready to probe their own lives for better self-understanding, which does not happen in the earlier stages. Now, it would be fairly rewarding to be an adult without any fixation from an earlier stage, wouldn't it? That's fairly easy to be if we have done the work of integration. At every stage, we have understood what's happening with us. We have taken help, probably, if it was required. We've integrated all our losses. We have integrated our experiences, and we have completely eliminated the things that needed to be let go, right? So that's fairly easy to be an adult in the right way if we have done all this work. The adult stage is the longest period we have. It can start from early 20s and it can go to mid 70s. And therefore, we have here the biggest opportunity to grow into mentally and physically healthy adults. We have so much of time. This stage is where our contribution to the world can come from a place of complete self-awareness, because we understand the relevance of cooperation and co-creation and outcomes that benefit everyone, not just individuals. And because adults, when living with authenticity, come from a place of total self-acceptance, they're willing to share their resources, knowing there will always be more and more, and they're never scared that there will be any deficit. So you can choose to be an adult in any situation, right? When you choose to be kind over being right, and when you concede the win to another person, you are being an adult. Not because you're a loser or not because you're incapable, but because you get it that you are one with the other person, that you both share the same consciousness. So if that person wins, you win too. If that person loses, you feel the loss too. That kind of understanding happens with a true adult. You also benefit equally from both positive and negative experiences because you don't resist the consequences, but integrate them into the larger goals of your life. So a negative experience can teach you as much as a positive experience. Now these are adults very free from the constraints of defenses from earlier stages, which means that the ego is not fixated in any of the earlier stages, and therefore their creativity flows because they're fully present, right? There is nothing that is still lingering back there in the past. They're complete here, right here in this moment. And their healthy behavior is a natural outpouring of their balanced thoughts and emotions. Taking responsibility for the ups and downs of your life stops you from holding others at ransom. And therefore, you can spend all that energy in what you want to contribute to the world. Well, all this is very ideal. Adult maturity is a well sought out trait. But your ego may have other plans, like identifying itself with people, experiences, things, and anything else from the past that creates an enduring narrative for its existence in the present. Now, this creates what we call as attachment. And a dichotomous nature develops in most of us while we grapple with our ego's defenses on the one hand and our soul's longings to find freedom in simply being. In direct confrontation to the ego's projections are what? Are your spiritual leanings, which teach you a thing or two about unattachment, letting go. So as a freedom-loving adult, you effortlessly hold the reins of your life while allowing others to do the same. Live and let live. And when you are free to let go and not make suffering a virtue in your life, you do not judge others for their choices. You support them instead. So, being a mature adult is no small feat, you can see that. Neither is it impossible to be one if our childhood defenses don't intrude on our ability to handle our life with equanimity. The last two stages of elder and master are reserved for highly evolved beings, and justifiably so, for their inner light shines 24/7, unquestionably, and we know so many people like that living today. Two amongst them whom I can think of straight away is Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama. So enlightenment and nirvana may be two most popular and aspiring states to attain for all humans across the board. But currently the proportion is an exceedingly, exceptionally small amount from 1% of the entire world's population. So if you think with your unresolved fixations you can gate crash the select gathering, you have to think again. There is so much work to be done. A good way to figure where or whether you are fixated, consider what you are offering to the world. Fear-based beliefs, thoughts of poverty consciousness, physical weakness with nutritional deficits, or are you offering to the world wise mentorship, sharing of your personal resources, evolved empathic leadership? So you end up identifying your childhood defenses and uprooting and replacing them with what you would prefer to share. The most rewarding consequence of this choice is liberation. Well, on that note, I would like to end here. It has been exhilarating figuring out the contextual nature of all that stuff in my own life and putting down my reflections on paper to share with you. Thank you so much for listening. It has been an amazing experience. Goodbye, take care, and be safe.
Help Talks are daily health-related talks held at Health Education Library for People, Mumbai, India. For more information visit www.healthlibrary.com. Subscribe to Help Talks channel. Be better informed about your health.